welcome to Moneylife. This is Sucheta Dalal. This week I'm going to talk about us, we the people as consumers. Do you realize that for a long time we used to believe that the customer is king, that we ought to be treated like we are royalty. But over the last decade or so, things have just quietly changed. Instead of treating us well, companies are hitting us with unfair costs and charges, and we haven't even noticed. Actually, we are beginning to notice now. But let's talk about what this means, how much we understand about our own rights as consumers, what we need to learn, where we need to put our foot down. So let me start with a story. So a few months ago, an 80-year-old diabetic person who went to access his bank locker was inadvertently locked inside the branch. They closed the branch, went away for the night. His family was desperate. The next morning, he was discovered in the locker. Thankfully, nothing had happened to him. Now, this matter was written about by us in Moneylife as well as all the media, and it got escalated to the highest levels in the Reserve Bank of India. Now, someone there felt that this person, this gentleman, needs to get at least some token compensation for the trauma that he suffered. I just heard that his family refused the compensation. In fact, they seem to have been happy and relieved that their loved one was safe. What does this tell you? It says that the victim was clearly from a very loving family, well-placed family, which did not want to profit from what he had suffered. I'm quite certain also, as always happens in these cases, when things escalate or when there's media spotlight, the bank officers definitely didn't lock him up deliberately, so they would have apologized very profusely and the family accepted it. Now, this is wonderful as far as the family goes. What does this do to us as consumers? Now, around the same time as this octogenarian had declined the token compensation, we had written another story in Moneylife. This is about Mr. D.S. Rangarao, who, while accessing his locker in a State Bank of India branch, suffered an accident because of a shaky ladder which collapsed, and he was so badly hurt that he needed surgery, he needed months of physiotherapy, and he still moves around only in his house with the locker. Mr. Rangarao is a retired government servant and has been an activist doing wonderful work in Bombay. He's sitting at home. He tried, with the guidance of Moneylife Foundation, all the regular grievance redressal mechanisms. Wrote to SBI, wrote to the banking ombudsman. It was rejected. Moneylife Foundation then escalated it again to the highest level in the RBI, and SBI then rushed to him, offered to pay him his costs, not 100%, just a little below. No question of compensating him, though these are around the same time, for the trauma that he suffered, continues to suffer. Like I said, he is still at home with a walker. Now, let's look at these two things a little differently. Had the earlier person from this wonderful family accepted compensation instead of turning it down, they could have donated it to any good cause that they believed in. It would have set an important precedent for Indian consumers. You must realize it would have also helped Mr. Rangarao. You must realize that their graciousness is in fact a lost opportunity, not a positive. Because India is a country where grievance redressal is tardy, slow, the fight to get compensation or even redress is long, and costs and damages are never avoided. There's rarely any compensation, costs and damages. This is something we've been saying for the 12 years that Moneylife Foundation has been around, and I as a journalist have been writing for decades. Now, we Indians are a tolerant bunch of people, not a positive every time when you look at it from the point of view of consumer rights. It is bad. It's even worse for those of us who fight for consumer rights. Not just us, there are dogged individuals who take the fight correctly to the extent required. And what they do, their battle helps all of us. Dealing with a slow, expensive judicial process is so self-defeating that a majority of us do not ever want to file a complaint. The loss is small, we shrug our shoulders and say, forget it, not worth the fight. There are individuals who fight. The least we can do is think again about consumer rights. As I'm going to explain to you in this video blog, and look at where we are going wrong, because each one of our voices matters. If we want things to change, it needs numbers, it needs people being vocal about their rights and unfair treatment. Individuals cannot do it, even small NGOs cannot do it. Now, let me give you a few examples today. So, paying for shopping bags. All of you go to large malls. Since about 2014 to 2018, there's been this campaign, correct one I may say, about using plastic bags. So 127 companies have enacted rules to discourage the use of plastic bags. All of us support it. We want a better environment. So what did they do? They said, most countries said bags are going to be charged for, so that people are encouraged to carry their own shopping bags. Wonderful. Now, stores, shops, malls, whatever decided that instead of this being a positive development, let's look at it as a way to charge and extract money for packaging. Remember, there was a time when even if you bought a shirt, and I'm not talking about today, I'm talking about as many as 30 years ago, bought it from a good shop, it was in a nice box with a cardboard, folded, clipped. Today, it's taken off the hanger, folded haphazardly. If you have a bag, it's thrust into your bag. If not even an old newspaper or a paper bag, you're supposed to walk out with it in your hands. Now, suppose you have forgotten a bag on one day. You do not want to pay for that plastic bag. You do not want to pay the 3, 5, 7, 9, whatever rupees, depending on the size, that malls have begun to charge you. You have to take it away without even a packaging, without a proper fold. When have we consumers started becoming so bad that we are treated like this by companies where you may have paid as much as 5,000 rupees for a dress, but that's how it comes. We accept it. If we are embarrassed, we'll say, okay, I'll buy a bag and pay the money. If not, we accept it and walk away with it. Fold it on our hands. Maybe your bag is in your car. We'll go and put it there. Not even a basic wrapping. And we are okay with it. What? In the name of environment? What does environment have to do with providing a basic paper bag or a cloth bag? If you pay 5,000 rupees for a dress, the shop can easily give you an environment-friendly cloth bag, right? I'm all for us carrying our own bags, but we are human beings. We forget sometime. This should not be an opportunity to fleece us. Now, how many of you know that there have been multiple consumer court judgments that favor this view? In 2019, the Chandigarh Consumer Commission set the ball rolling. It fined Bata India 9,000 rupees for charging 3 rupees for a paper bag to carry a shoe box. This is a case of Dinesh Prasad Rathuri versus Bata India, CC/64/209. We're putting it up there. Take a look. Now, this wasn't the only one. 3 rupees, okay? Hats off to him for fighting. On 19th February 2021, the Hyderabad District Consumer Redressal Forum ordered more megastore retail to refund another 3 rupees with 12% interest and 15,000 rupees as compensation to a customer. Pertinently, it made some important points. It said that selling a bag with a company logo on it was to use the consumer as a tool for the company's advertisements. It was a deceptive and unfair trade practice. How many of us think about it? We are carrying around a logo for which we have paid. Never happens. Companies pay for advertising. We have become the advertisers carrying the bag for which we have paid. Why? Because they have earned the right to charge us, they think, incorrectly. This was a case of Akash Baglekar Kumar versus More Retail. I'm giving the details up here. Similar cases have been filed against Westside, Lifestyle International, Big Bazaar and others. Providing free carry bags for goods purchased in the same store, apparently, say consumer experts, forms an intrinsic part of the consumer satisfaction criteria under the Consumer Protection Act 1986. So no favors to us, yet top retailers not only have fought all these cases, they humiliate you when you ask questions, but they seem determined to take the fight with appeals all the way to the Supreme Court. We don't know what's going to happen there. Hopefully, the correct stand will be upheld. What is more worrying is that majority of us accept this uncomplainingly. We don't want to be in a posh store and throw a tantrum because we look cheap, we think we're being conjuice about a 5 rupee bag. That's not correct. Look at it as a consumer. You're being charged for paper bags. I buy a bread in a very fancy bakery which charges me 5 rupees for a paper bag for bread, and I refuse it, but I ought to be like these activists and take them to court. Not all of us have time to do it, so we look the other way or allow ourselves to be fleeced. At least put your foot down. Now, look at another thing. Do you know that you are paying premium rates, local call rates of course, to your bankers and retailers for what used to be a consumer helpline? Do you know that ever since the 80s, companies used to be very proud of saying we are now big enough to have a toll-free 1-800 number for customer services, complaints, information, whatever. Not anymore. In the last decade, banks, retailers and others, including people like Big Basket, ICICI, Axis Bank, just name it, look at the number that you're supposed to call. It's a 1860 series number, which means it's paid premium. This goes beyond your unlimited plans that you have. So even if you have an unlimited plan, don't think you're dialing 1860 and it is free. You're going to be charged. Except Reliance Jio, which claims its 1860 number is free, you are paying as much as 2 to 3 rupees per minute, which means that when these banks make you listen to music, dial 1 for this, dial 2 for that, dial 3 for whatever, or when they put you on hold and say wait, you are paying for it by the minute. Is this customer services? Are you customer is king situation? Moneylife has written about it in August 2019. We're going to put a link there, or you can Google. But let me tell you, even though we wrote about it in 2019, we as a class of customers have failed because we haven't voiced our anger enough for companies to make a difference. They continue to treat you like this. There are people who have said they have paid as much as 10 to 50 rupees for the experience of having their grievance redressed. What's your alternative? A chatbot that is equally ineffective, or an email. Takes time, but you don't want to spend on a 1860 number. So now I'm coming to a third example. Packing charges in restaurants. Yeah, when you sit in a restaurant, you get service, the waiter comes to you, cleans the table, serves you, you enjoy a nice ambience. When you order it at home, it comes in a packaging, you have to serve yourself, clean up after yourself. The restaurant, especially in the big cities, are saving on real estate and on service. But if you order at home, they know that you want something from a particular restaurant at a particular time. So they're not only charging you for delivery, they're charging you for packaging, all this foil and plastic dabbas that they give you. Now, other than cloud kitchens, everybody else saves. So why are they charging you? Restaurants have decided that we who order online are not price sensitive, so charge them. Who's going to say no? Some people may avoid a certain restaurant. Most people don't care, don't know, don't see. This is what I mean about we consumers not knowing enough. Luckily, plenty have complained. So the National Consumer Helpline, please remember this number, 1915. Pick it up, file a complaint next time you're hassled. They have received a lot of complaints, thankfully. So they received 3,631 complaints about Swiggy, 2,828 complaints about Zomato, after which the Department of Consumer Affairs called a meeting of all these operators who are called Top Food Business Operators, FBOs, on 13 June. It's given them 15 days to come up with a plan for improving their grievance redress, because grievances are all kinds of things. These days they dock you if you want to cancel an order. There are no costs. If they don't deliver, they deliver wrongly, they under deliver, there's no problems with them. You do something wrong, they deduct your money. So luckily within 15 days they're supposed to come up with something. They're also supposed to give a transparent breakup of packaging charges, delivery charges, surcharges, taxes, which today are pretty vague. Even a distance of 1 kilometer or 2 will be called a long distance with extra charges. All that is hopefully going to change. Why did this happen? Because we have a regulator, the Central Consumer Protection Authority, which is taking a look at these things more seriously. It has also served notices to cab aggregators. You know the number of complaints there are about cancellations, money block. cabs not turning up. So what was a wonderful service, very inexpensive at that time, has become a source of harassment. And there's a third one, the usurious convenience fees. Whether you're buying an airline ticket or a movie ticket or a theatre ticket, whether you buy one or you buy 10, you're paying per ticket. It is extortive. We don't complain. Luckily, things are moving. The Department of Consumer Affairs is taking note. This is the time when we need to voice our anger, our irritation at being fleeced. File a complaint. I've given you the National Consumer Helpline number. Please call it up. Remember, we have switched from being customer's king and customer delight to finding ways where we have to just keep paying multiple clauses. Get an SMS, you pay for it. You get something else, you pay for it. You want to make a call, you pay for it. When did it happen? When we were being lured by the convenience of online shopping, endless freebies and coupons, because all these startups had endless burn money from companies, venture capitalists, right? All that is the silly season, as they say, is getting over. Now you're being fleeced. Wake up, smell the coffee, start complaining. It's time for us to reclaim our space as consumers. Before that, we have to understand our rights, demand fair treatment as from banks and retailers and even our government. They push us online for all kinds of things, load us with costs and taxes, and there is no grievance redress. We accept it because it comes from Sarkar. Let us start complaining. Let's make our voices heard. There is some action happening. If we don't take advantage of it, we have only ourselves to blame. Believe me, we can't depend on that wonderful occasional individual who will fight for 3 rupees charged to a bag. We have to join, stand up behind them, and support them. If you agree, please share this email, make other people aware of their rights, make them aware of what we need to demand for ourselves. Let's not keep quiet. Thank you.